We've served on the board of directors for the National Association of Minority and Women-Owned Law Firms, and it is through that organization that I have been firsthand lucky to see Janice in action in her smart decisions and leadership. And it was through that that I learned about a business endeavor that she had started called Beyond Law. And when she told me the concept and the idea behind Beyond Law, I was fascinated because I myself am a business owner, and I was very interested in learning the model and the ideas that she was telling me about, which is that we needed to pursue balance in our professional and private lives, and we needed to be able to work smarter. And so I asked her to come here and talk to us as part of a transitioning series. And transitioning can be many, many things. It can be an attorney who's been in practice for many years transitioning perhaps into semi-retirement or retirement. It can be people who, like myself, work very, very hard and would like to transition into a smarter way of working less. I don't know if that's possible, but I'm going to find out. And so that's why I wanted to have Janice come from San Diego to present something to our Bar Association. I only want to say a few more things about her very distinguished career. Please allow me to. She grew up in Montana, which surprised me, and went to Montana University. She went to Gonzaga Law School, graduating in 1983. She worked for the U.S. Department of Justice. This also surprised me about you, that you worked in the tax department as a litigator. And in 1987, she was chosen as Trial Lawyer of the Year for the Department of Justice. Janice started her own law firm, Brown Law Group, in 2003 down in San Diego, and has established herself as a really go-to attorney and law firm in the San Diego area, predominantly in employment-related matters. So you have a distinguished speaker, and I'm looking forward to your remarks today, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. So as I was telling you, Renee said to me, I think over a cocktail, what, you don't work Fridays? Or Saturdays? Or Sundays? Okay, here, wait. Okay, and then you're more profitable? Okay, you have to come up to my hometown and tell me about this. So let me tell you initially, I don't come to this by being wise. I've come through this through pain, my own, both economical, emotional, personally, and I just decided there has to be a better mousetrap. I just could not buy the system because, us as lawyers, we're not the most progressive group. And I think in part because the law is based on looking backwards. I mean, it's sort of the nature of what we do for a living. But business, if you start looking at concepts of business, you start seeing that the law doesn't practice law like businesses do. Law practices a business unto itself, where the owners of the business work more than anybody else. And so I wanted to come and share some of the things that I've done to work less, but not just work less. I think actually what I'm doing, and the concept of balance, I'm not talking about balance just for balance's sake. I'm actually talking about balance so I can show up not exhausted. That I can show up and be my best self, because my role within the firm is to help strategically, to deal with cases on a more strategic level, to take the big depositions, to go to trial, to go to mediation. And if I'm bothered by, are the documents Bates numbered correctly, or did we answer the interrogatories on time, that's not my highest and best use. So that's what I began to sort of look into, and I began it in phases. So the phase that I began first, so let me just give you a little bit more of my background. I did grow up in Montana for a whole bunch of reasons that doesn't make sense. But I go back every year, drink more beer, because you can't drink wine all day, I have learned. And then every now and then we will have a shot of tequila, because that's the way we do it in Montana. But I grew up in Montana. I went to University of Montana undergrad journalism, and then I went to law school at Gonzaga. I graduated Gonzaga in 2 years. I went to DOJ in the tax division. I didn't know squat about taxes, but DOJ was a great place because you got to do trial work, and they taught us how to do trial work. And so that was a good experience, but I had no experience in business in a law firm. So then I went to a big law firm for San Diego size, one of the biggest firms in San Diego at that time. And I looked around and I saw there were some people who were happy in the law firm. And then I saw the people who worked for the people who were happy. And I thought, I want to be the happy person. And then when I learned about the happy people, they were people who had business. And the firm was saying to me, because I was a mid-level associate at the time, don't worry about business. We have enough business. You just bill your hours. And I'm like, people who are happy have business. And the people who aren't happy are the ones who are billing hours. So I began to think about developing business, and I had no idea how to do it. I had no idea what it meant. I didn't understand it. I actually feel now when I look back on it that I was like in a jungle with a bow and arrow looking at big animals and trying to shoot them right between the eyes. But lo and behold, I hit a couple. Okay? But I had no system, and what I learned is I really hate being anxious. You know, I was anxious a lot because even if you get a good case, when's it going to run out? Are you going to settle? When's the next, you started having all that anxiousness, and I really hated it. And I didn't really do anything about it until I left the firm in 1999, and I had a partner. So I was with this partner, and I decided after being with him for about 4 years that I wanted to go on my own. In fact, I said a lot of other things, like I wanted to try to do business differently. So in 2003, as Renee said, I started my own firm. And when Mommy and Daddy broke up, me and my partner, all the kids came with Mommy. So then I had mortgages to pay, college tuition, and I was so petrified of the responsibility. So I figured out I had to do something different. So I put both of my resumes here, and I think part of the reason why I started doing Beyond Law is because I have my own firm, I try cases, I take depositions, I mediate cases, I do the job. So I haven't transitioned. I'm not just a person talking to you, not as a practicing lawyer. I'm actually doing the do. Not as much as I used to, but I still do the do. I just tried a month-long trial in Orange County, in Santa Ana. I'm telling you, if you can avoid Santa Ana, it sounds like it would be pretty. It is not. That. I mean, I was like, really? Everything is fried? Like everything? So you can get extra, you can get French fries with chili on top of them, or chili and cheese. So I try cases. But in addition to that, I began to really do a lot of work. I had a lot of sort of personal things going on when I first started to practice, and I began to take personal development courses outside of the law business and business courses. And what I learned is business does things a lot differently than law. For example, business does things like, well, what clients do we want in the future? What market should we target? What should our budget be? They don't just keep going along with what they did last year and wake up and go, what, how many, they actually plan. What a concept. So that's how I began to develop business, and that's how it became that I created this other thing. Now, I think this is hilarious, because this is classic about this is what my friends think I do. Get out and scream. This is what my mom thinks I do. This is what society thinks I do. Just eat money. What I think I do, I think I'm cross-examining. Okay, really? I mean, how often do we do that? Not that often. What my clients think I do is travel and shop. What I really do is read a lot of books. Okay? But here's the piece that I really think that we really have to move from. Have you guys heard of this book, The E-Myth? Okay, Michael Gerber. The E-Myth is the entrepreneurial myth. It says this: people who want to start their own business doing the law, for example, think that they get to get away from the boss. Or I say, I didn't like the man. And then I realized one day, I am the man. And that's what happened. I didn't like that. I didn't want to be the boss. When people said, this is my boss, I'd, oh, cringe, okay? Because I wanted to be free of rules and systems and requirements. I wanted to do things my own way. I didn't want to run a business. I just wanted to be Don Quixote. But then I got to pay my bills, and I had all these kids. Remember I told you the kids came with mommy. So I began to look into these books, and basically what it said was, in order to run your own business, or to be in any kind of environment where you have a responsibility to be part of running a business, you actually have to manage it. Okay? And what does that look like? It means putting time on your calendar to manage it. Not just having it in your head as a thing to make you feel bad about yourself all the time. I'm not managing. Oh, okay, I was feel like shit. Okay, because this is, well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Okay. So I'm going to curse a little bit. This is just how I talk. So, the E-Myth is a book that I recommend to you. And the E-Myth is a book about getting out of what it is that we do to manage what it is that we do. Okay? And it seems like it's simple, but I'm telling you, I know people, when I talk to them about, I have management meetings. I schedule them. I predict my profit monthly. I have a formula. I do my hours weekly. People put their hours in daily. Daily. They get written up if they don't. Because lawyers hate that. Write them up. They're like, huh, this goes to my permanent record? No, you're not in high school anymore. But they think, is my permanent record? Yes, because I need to know how we're billing. So I'm going to go through some of these concepts with you. But what I did is, I gave you guys this sheet, this worksheet. And what this worksheet is, oh yeah, I'll talk about the worksheet and I'll go to this next slide. The worksheet basically are the 7 components of running a business. Management, administration, finance, sales, marketing, quality control, and production. Production is the job of lawyering. It's the product that we do. Sales is getting a client. Marketing is your brand and how you communicate with potential clients and future clients. I actually have an ideal client list. Because I used to have an ideal client, someone that was coming in the door. And then I realized I had to refine my message. Because some clients are pains in the asses. And one thing that happened is I have a nice website, and what happened with my website is my website designer said, who are you targeting your website to? Which I knew he was a better website designer than anybody else I ever had, because no one ever else asked me that question. So I said, well, I'm not sure. He goes, well, who's your best clients? Oh. So I started looking. And what I found was 80% of my time was spent with 20% of the worst people. The customers I was chasing, the ones you give advice and they didn't follow, then they call you on Friday at 4 o'clock and go, huh, those people. And I went, I'm done with them. So I fired 20% of my clients. Anybody who didn't, I made the ideal list. I put exactly what I wanted. So I have clarity. I represent corporations, small businesses and medium-sized businesses that pay their bills promptly. Not down the road. Pay their bills promptly. I wanted clients that were open to preventative measures, open to be taught how to not get sued the next time. I wanted clients that had mutual respect, not only to me, but to my staff. Because let me tell you, someone who's rude to your staff, I mean, like, I always test people. Are they mean to waiters and waitresses? I don't want them as people who are mean to people who they perceive to be less than they are not nice people. And I decided I don't want to represent them. So sometimes they slip in, they all friendly and everything. I will fire them. And I don't get far into, something I'm going to talk to you guys about is billing too, as far as how we bill. So one thing I can recommend to you is do that discipline and get clarity on who is your ideal client. And even if you don't have one, aspire to one. Make it up. I want like blah, 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 whatever it is. Because the chances are when people say to me, what do you guys target? You say government entities, corporations that do have employment matters in Southern California. And then when people, so you people say, oh, I know someone. Because small companies I represent to help them avoid lawsuits. Because if you're a small company and you get rid of a lawsuit, it is devastating. So I try to do things to help them avoid lawsuits as much as possible. So we do free seminars to teach people about the new employment law. The good thing about employment law, it changes all the time. And it's always in the news. Well, I'm from San Diego. And if any of you know about San Diego, our mayor is been in office all of 7 months. I can tell it up here, I voted for this jackass. And now, every day, a new development. He gropes women. He sticks his tongue down women's throats. He tells women, you look better if you didn't wear panties. And he goes, I'm just a hugger. Okay? So that's happening right now in San Diego. So sexual harassment and employment issues, they're still very, very big business. Okay, so let me go through this sheet. So here's what I do. For the first thing this is what I want you guys to do with this sheet. Identify who in your environment can manage people. First of all, I don't really know your practices. So let's start with you. Just give me your name and tell me a little bit about what you do.
Peter Stroud, State Planning, Probate Trust Administration, Probate Trust Litigation.
By yourself? You have somebody else?
I have a partner, but kind of a silent partner, and I have a fairly full-time paralegal on another half.
Okay.
Former litigator, and now full-time litigator.
Former. Recovery.
Planning law, environmental law.
You're starting your own practice?
James Schaefer, work for a small firm, and do corporate transactional work, mostly with startups.
Okay. What kind of firm?
Oh, it's full-time.
Your firm? Okay.
I do real estate and also partner with a transactional litigator.
Martin Johnson, 19 years of financial services, and my last year of law school.
Okay, well, good news. Good luck.
That's why I'm here.
Good. See, like really, if they start teaching this in law school, this kind of stuff,
Mortgage there. I have my own family law practice. Just me. We do about 50% mediation and 50%
Bill Green, I have my own practice. It's just me, general civil practice and criminal.
okay?
Crystal Fernandez, patent prosecution, small law firm growing our practice right now.
Dan Maloney, the state planning, business, probate, administration, litigation, all of that.
How big is your firm?
Small.
Okay.
Small, but we have two. And we do business and commercial bankruptcy and fraud.
I have Jason Balo, I own my company. That's mostly pre-Christmas around.
Terry Novak, private banker, we do as well.
Oh, so who was here to collect cars?
I am actually a lawyer that took a different path.
All right. And so why are you here? You're just a learner? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, forget.
What makes you get out of the house?
All right. She pushes you out. Okay.
Steve Jitsi, managing partner of Jitsi and Green, civil family law firm, we do everything except criminal.
How big are you
County
guys?
occasional DUI.
Well, you gotta represent clients. How many lawyers?
7.
Okay. Oh, which one is?
former Vision associate in Marine Law Partners that just lost tax lawyers and estates and trusts.
Paul Schroeder, I do civil litigation, business, commercial litigation, also advise businesses. We've got 6 lawyers right here for the city.
Melissa Yalo, I am a paralegal at Perfect.
Tammy Mercado. That's me. Tammy Mercado, sole practitioner, civil litigation, family law, probate, and bankruptcy.
So, one of the things that I think is a real myth is people think that because you might be a sole practitioner that you don't have to manage. That is a myth. You have to manage the business, not just yourself. So management is, you might be yourself, might be the only person. Who does your admin? So your admin is your finances, it's your taxes, it's your payroll, it's your corporate records. Lawyers get killed with not having this in control. So there should be a name there. If it's not you, somebody who's a person that you trust that does that. Finance is your money. Money is twofold. How much and how much you collect. So it's billing and collections, not just billing. And my associates are like, I bill this many hours. I'm like, oh, okay, we're glad, but do we get paid because we do it? So I'm trying to teach them, Marketing. So marketing, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Marketing is basically, this business is a relationship business. That's my perception of it. There's some things you could do to get your name out there, depending on the nature of your practice. Some plaintiffs' lawyers do some things where they're out there, creating like more of a production type brand, like a product brand. But most lawyers who are doing relationship business, it's a relationship brand. So you're connecting with people and you're doing that kind of thing. And the challenge is what if you hate that? Well, we're going to talk about that too. Sales are clients that actually come in the door. Production is your work. The production is what you do. Now, one thing I want to say to you, people who are sole practitioners or even small firm folks, one of the things that I'm looking at, I have 8 lawyers right now. I'm growing my firm to 10 and I'm stopping. I don't want to get any bigger. But I'm doing a couple of things because let me step back just a sec. One of the things that I do, I'm involved in the Economic Development Corporation for the City of San Diego. And I'm a unique business to that group because mostly they're big, huge companies, but I happen to be a small company and I thought, well, why not? Okay? I do a lot of that. Why not? Just to let you know. So I joined the group and they have world-class economists come speak to our group. Because they're typically speaking to the Qualcomms and the SDG&Es and all these big companies, but the information is just as applicable to small businesses, which really are the backbone of this country. I mean, big companies have a lot of employees, but small businesses, we create a lot of jobs. And what they say is, this particular guy, and I don't have his name in front of me, but if you want his information, because he's very, very talented, said that, and he's been predicting the market. He doesn't predict the market, the stock market. He predicts the economy. So like fuel, manufacturing, things I really, frankly, don't understand all that much. I mean, he's a really great economist, and I understand what he's saying, but I really have faith in what he's done over the years because he's predicted these kinds of trends pretty significantly. And what he says is 2014 is going to have a slight little dip. This is his perspective. But from 2014 to 2019, they anticipate a lot of growth. So that's kind of what he's saying. And I'm having faith that that's the nature of what's going to be happening. So I'm investing, getting money, borrowing money at this stage in my career to help leverage to have more technology in my law firm. Because I know I only want to grow a certain amount. But I want to, like coming and speaking to you guys, I want to form relationships with more people. I want to have more opportunities to meet more people, talk more about this. Beyond Law is an amazing business that helps my Brown Law Group. It seems like it necessarily wouldn't they be kind of competitive? They're not. Because basically I meet more lawyers. And lawyers are referral sources, and lawyers like that my business is well run. So it helps my business. So production and then quality assurance. Quality assurance is one that kind of goes by the wayside sometimes unless a client calls or you send something to the court and it's screwed up. Then we're like, damn, I wish we'd had that quality assurance. So we try to do training. We try to get lawyers to go to training. If they go to something, they report it back to the office. So we try to keep that as part of what we do. Oh, so then here's the next thing I put for you too. I told you about ideal clients. I also have an ideal associate. Because I was getting people, there's nothing worse to be an employment lawyer that has to fire somebody. Because then you have to put your money where your mouth is. And it sucks. One thing I can tell you guys, all the small businesses, let me just say this, all of you should have arbitration agreements for your employees. That's the one piece of employment advice I can give you. Everybody should have arbitration agreements. All the Supreme Court is doing is enforcing the legitimacy of arbitration agreements. So all of you should have them. They really help reduce your liability significantly. So that's just I won't even let people, come into my office. They sign arbitration agreements, no matter what position they are in the company. So here's sort of where I was. I perceived myself to be at the top of this pyramid. I had all these people working for me in the firm's called Brown Law Group. I was at the top. But here's where I really was. At the bottom, supporting all these people. Because I'd be there on Sunday going, right? How come I'm the only one here? What the hell? What? And I'd walk around the office. I'd just get pissed. I'd just be like, God, when I was their age, I would be there. I'd feel like all that stuff. And so I realized I was doing this out of fear. Out of fear. And let me tell you why I was afraid. Because these are the people who are working for you. Okay, so how do we do this?
You should.
These are my employees. That would make you very afraid. I can act it out. Oh, there it is. There we go. It worked before, I swear.
We need a millennial to show you how to do it.
That's true. Absolutely. YouTube has to make money too.
Does this situation look familiar? A new type of worker has entered the workforce. They're called millennials. They're terrible. Today, I'm going to teach you all about this new breed of worker so you can avoid misunderstandings in which you feel the need to fire them immediately. In the first reevaluation we just saw, Mary makes the classic mistake of not reassuring Chet while offering overflowing amounts of praise.
Chet, you were so smart to use Google. That's the perfect way to start the research. You're so smart.
Great job.
So the conference call is scheduled for 10:30, so we're on the same page. Let's do a pre-call about 9:30 a.m.
I don't understand. Noodles. Not 9:30?
Cheryl Sanford here isn't aware time exists before 10:30 a.m. Her generation, there's a mistake. exactly what was asked of her. Nothing more, less. She expects a raise and promotion.
Thanks. Junior Executive Manager of Data Consulting. Is that better than Assistant Manager of Junior Consulting? Yes. Oh my God, thank you. I'm gonna go call my parents.
I need to take work off tomorrow for a mental health day.
Did you know millennials can actually be exceptionally creative with reasons why they need to miss work? These eccentric excuses are normal to them, and they will be to you too.
Sure, that's a normal thing.
Hi, I know I only get 10 days paid vacation, but that wouldn't count a 3-week Argentinian service beer request, right?
No, why would it?
Oh.
Why don't you go home, Billy?
That's it. Any questions? Why even hire millennials? Oh, right. Well, millennials comprise 19% of the workforce. If none of them worked and their parents supported them, it would cripple our economy, and China would take over. So, unfortunately, it's your civic duty to employ them. Trust us, we want to fire them all too, but we can't.
I think that's hilarious. Well, it's happy. It's happy and sad. So, let's pretend, for purposes of argument, just for discussion, why, okay, let me ask this. For those of you who have people who work for you, how many of you work more than your junior associates? Hi, my name is Renee and I'm a workaholic. Okay, how many of you work less? One. Well, you're not a lawyer. I mean, you're a lawyer doing something else. So let's talk about, because the other question is, for those of you who have smaller practices, do you consider using contract attorneys? Yes? Yes? Is there a problem with using contract attorneys? Yes?
As a litigator, we've probably all experienced when people, the deer in the headlights look from the contract attorney, they don't really know the case, the judge is angry. I've even heard judges try to make that poor contract attorney take responsibility for the case when, they're basically fee for service.
Well, I rarely send a contract attorney to court because I've seen that whole thing where they're like, I don't really know I'm here, but I'm supposed to be, like that doesn't help anybody. So let me tell you some of the challenges I had with this. First of all, I did it better than they did. I let them do it if they know how to do it. Okay, so that was one. The other one was, I did it faster than they did. I could spend all this time explaining to these people. I could just do it myself. And here's the age-old one. It fed my ego. When I used to walk into the office, my nickname is JB. It felt like birds chirping. JB, 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 JB. Ah, I'm needed. I'm important. Okay? And then I decided, well, actually what happened is I actually legitimately tore my Achilles. I'm an independent person. And I couldn't drive. I had to have crutches. I couldn't buy groceries. They had an earthquake, and I was on crutches. I mean, I had a brace, a cast. I just felt so vulnerable. And I realized I couldn't do everything. And here's what happened, because I wasn't at the office as much. The people who I thought couldn't do stuff and do stuff. They had to. There's a story about these dolphin trainers. And the dolphin trainers would go help, the dolphins would get sick, and the trainers would go help the dolphins, and they would, heal them. But then they came to learn that the dolphins understood that the people liked healing them, so the dolphins would play sick to give the people something to do to feel good about themselves. And that's what I learned was going on. JB, huh, huh, huh. And then it was like, since I wasn't there, they had to do it. And it meant sometimes they failed. And it meant sometimes they didn't do it. I read the deposition transcripts and I'm like, have you heard of an objection? Did it ever occur to them? Okay? But it was better to have them do that so that I could reverse this. Okay, I did something. I need a millennial. Those damn. You should just be able to collect them. All right, go away. Let's go back. I wanted to move from here to here because what I was best at doing was planning for the future. What I was best at doing is strategizing how to move the pieces on the puzzle. What I was best at doing is talking the client off the ledge. What I was best at doing was laying out options for the client. I wasn't best if I was so stressed out from working all the time that I couldn't be present with the people in my office. Because I was in my head like they were talking and I was watching their eyebrows. I wasn't paying attention to what was coming out of their mouth. I'm like, when is this going to be over? Okay, that's not listening. And so what I realized, I was not showing up at my best. So the big thing that I did, this was 2 years ago now, 3 years ago, I said I'm taking Fridays off. And it was like drugs to give up Friday. I'd stay in touch, I'd call. Need me? Okay? So what I started to do is measure the results. Because I wasn't measuring. So, I have a budget that I measure every month. I do a projection of the hours, and I lay it out in a budget. And I get it every month. I see how many hours, and my hours are not high. I bill 80 hours a month. That's my target. My budget is adjusted down to that number. Stacy's my junior partner. She bills 120 a month. We bill every month, but we measure every quarter. Because I don't want to measure every month. Because I want my lawyers to take a vacation. I don't want them to feel like every month they have to hit the number. Every quarter they have to hit the number. So every quarter, so if they have 1 month where they're doing a summary judgment, they get the hours all built up. The next month they can take it easier. They can take some time. It's their job to do it. Everybody has to get their hours in daily. One of the things that I learned in this process, bills that go out faster get paid faster. Clients who owe you money think that's something to negotiate with. They owe you money and they think, oh, I'll pay you half of what I owe. And it's like, what? Because I've let you owe me money, so I don't have account receivables anymore. People pay 95% of my money is collected within 60 days. Some of my clients, the bigger corporations, take longer. But my bills go out within the first 5 days of the month. I make my bills go out. So all of our time is in on the last day of the month. Period. So if somebody is in my office not getting their time in, that messes up my groove. You get your bills out by the 5th of the month, you get paid by the end of the month. You get your bills out by the 15th, you get paid at the end of the next month. So you want your cash now? Bill it on July 3rd, July 4th, July 5th. Bill it then. You'll get paid before the 31st because that bill will be in process. You get your bill on the 15th, 15th, you won't get paid till August 30th. Because that bill gets into, the processes take time. All of my staff people have become friends with, because all of these companies have different billing processes, you know, okay? Some wanted email, some wanted paper, some wanted electronic, you have to stand on one foot and hold your breath. You know, like they all have different rules. We have the lawyers, and this is one thing we do. We collect all the billing processes for all the different clients, and we hold the lawyers accountable for how the clients bill. I happen to have this woman in my office who also, okay, so I have a woman named Barbara, who I call MacGyver. For those of you, I think most of you know MacGyver. They can make a bomb out of a paper clip. That's Barbara. So I said to Barbara, I need someone like you. And she goes, I got for my kid. So her kid is in there, and her kid is like a junior MacGyver. So they're on the game. So they know the rules. They know how to bill. Billing used to be such a pain, okay? So their job, no matter what, I don't care if we have a summary judgment going out, I don't care if we have trial, is to make sure the bills go out on the 5th. Period. That has changed my practice. That shows me quickly which clients aren't going to honor their commitment. It showed me quickly which lawyers aren't economically profitable. Because my goal is to bill, so everybody has target hours in the firm, okay? And the highest one is 154. And those are all the younger lawyers. So that's the highest. So it's not, so that's like $1,850 a year. And we have ample work, so that no one's looking for work. Like if someone, Stacy has told people, do not say, I don't have anything to do, okay? Because I will kick your butt. I'm nice about it, but I will kick your butt. I'm speaking a lot harsher to you than I do mine. I'm such a big bleeding heart. Like this has all been learned. Like I've learned this stuff because I used to you can just stay home and I'll send you a check. You don't have to come to work, okay? I used to do stuff like that. And I just realized that wasn't helping anybody. It wasn't helping the business. So I require people to get their bills in daily. And I get mine in daily. So when I'm on the road and I'm doing things, I call my office and say, blah, 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 point 2, blah, blah, blah. I get my time in too because I'm the example. I can't hold anybody accountable if I'm not doing it. And I know the challenge with this is because I've talked to some other people, other partners at NAMWOLF and different bar associations. They go, yeah, but I don't do it. Yeah. Well, okay. It's hard to hold people accountable when you're not doing it. So one of the very first things I say to people is get your time in daily. So on the 31st of the month, we get all our time. So the first, the second, the third is billing. And our bills go out fast. And we get paid that money fast. And it has changed my practice with that minor thing. And that's the kind of stuff that I can think about now that I'm not doing responses to interrogatories. I can think about how can I make us more efficient. So if I bill, let's just for purposes of argument, if I bill 100 hours, people bill 100 hours, out the door goes 95 hours. So my goal is 2% write-off or less. But I try to, my goal is $98. So people know up front what the hours are. Now, if I write time off, I don't call the lawyer. I teach the lawyer. My people go and tell the lawyer every time, look what happened. Look how this got written off. Because sometimes it's not their fault. Okay, it's a client that was going to come in, they billed it, and that didn't get written off. Sometimes they're learning a new file, and you write their time off because you don't think the client should have to pay for that. And I never hold the lawyers accountable. But if the lawyer consistently doesn't bill in accordance with the rules, month after month after month after month, that lawyer has to go. Because you can see lack of productivity. When you're on top of your numbers, you can see lack of productivity for lawyers like that. Before, I was like, I don't think they're working, I'm not sure, because I didn't have systems in place. So the other thing that I do as far as that is I collect 95% of my money, if not more. I collect my money that goes out. So, that's the other part of this. And I used to not do that. Now, Barbara is the person that does that. And she used to have a belief that I was better collection than she was. I was like, well, isn't that handy? And she didn't like it. So I got her a coach. Because I, as a business owner, every now and then I can weigh in and I can say, hey, you need to pay me. Or if it's a client and we're going to trial and I can say I need a big retainer, I can do that. But I shouldn't be wading into that. That's not my job. She's in charge of admin and she's in charge of collections. So what I did was I really got her a coach to work with her about her insecurity about collecting money. Because that's what it was. She just said, well, JB, you're so much better. I was like, well, you're going to learn. And I wasn't going to be the one teaching her because I knew she had issues. She wanted to please me as the boss. So she'd get anxious and there are things that were going on in her head she didn't want to share with me. So I would have her share it with the coach. That right there has made, I can't tell you how much more successful my business has been because of that. Now, I've gone through these things with you. So here's what I really want to tell you. This is how I want you to use this chart. I really want you to spend the time thinking about this and actually, we'll talk about what to do with it, but actually thinking, because I described what each component is. Management is effective and well-planned company which causes increased profits and expansion. The purpose of business is to make a profit, not for you just to do something that you go to because your wife wants to kick you out of the house. Okay? That's the purpose of business. Administrative, effective staff and efficient office facilities. Effective. That has been a challenge because Barbara, as wonderful as she is, MacGyver as she is, her heart is, I don't think she's ever fired anybody. That's like I have to basically go, okay, she just hates doing that. She just thinks people, like can improve, and people can. I don't like firing people either. It's a horrible, horrible thing to do. And I'm happy that it's horrible for me to do. I don't ever want to be the kind of person that thinks it's easy. It's horrible. Finance, you have to set goals for your finance. Not just your goal should not be to pay the bills. How much money do you want to make in your business? What things do you need to do to make your business more efficient? Those are there's a lot of information. This is one thing that, with Google, you used to have to go to the library and look up this. This is you can plug it into the computer. Marketing. Now, I love marketing. I'm going to show you something on my latest marketing. I just love this. I love marketing because I think it's such a fascinating thing to do things to cause people to have confidence in us, to have them trust our judgment. Because that's what we're doing. We're selling our judgment of more than anything. Sales are the actual bringing clients in and having them sign that engagement letter. Because I have a lot of lawyers who do this. I have a business development system that I'm going to share with you guys about a little bit. But I have lawyers who do that, and they think that they get points if somebody says, I'll hire you. No. You get a client, and they sign the contract. And here's a little clue. If a client starts negotiating the engagement letter, you do not want them. It's really simple. If someone can't even sign your damn engagement letter, why do you want them as a client? Well, no, I can take that out. No. You say, I can refer you to somebody else. The other thing that I've come to realize is by firing clients from time to time and deciding you're not going to take people from time to time, it's like the universe is so happy that you have a frickin' standard, that more people come to you that are like that kind of business. They're like, good for you. Most people will take what comes in the door. So the fact that you have a standard, somehow it really helps get more and more business to come to you. So here's the trick. Part of my thing about this, part of the reason why I'm up here and doing this, is because I happen to be a happy lawyer. And I'm a happy lawyer in part because I can leave my office. They know I'm up here. They're excited for me to come talk to a group of lawyers. I give Stacy, my junior partner, she gets a percentage of profits. She's about 41, she'll be 42. She's awesome. Awesome. I have another partner who I just made partner. She doesn't have any percentage of business yet. She's non-equity. And I made her partner because we landed a federal contract for the Department of Forestry. They're There were 3 law firms in the country selected, and we were one of them. And it was primarily her relationship that brought that in. So I told Stacy, it's $1 million a year for 5 years. Not bad. So I said, Stacy, we need to make her a partner. And Stacy goes, I don't know. She doesn't really want to be a partner. I said, okay, let's get this straight. She's bringing in $1 million a year. We want her to stay here. And she goes, oh, okay. So that's part of my job, is to bring Stacy along, to let her see. So Suzanne's a partner. Suzanne's an experienced lawyer who helps a lot of the junior lawyers, because I have a lot of junior lawyers. So I gave Stacy a percentage of the profits, as opposed to doing, having her buy an interest in the business. Is one, she can't afford it. She has a baby that's a year and a little girl that's 5 or 6. And I said to her, well, you know, typically you buy in, and she went, buy in? JB, why would you have so much money? And I was like, that's the worst attitude from someone who's claiming they're an entrepreneur. But then I talked to a business guy, and he said, just give her a percentage of the profits. Let me tell you what's happened. Little Miss Stacy is now all interested in the finances. She wants to see those hours. What are people? I'm like, bitch, you've been doing this shit for all these years, and now you're interested? Oh my God, she is on it. And let me tell you, it was the best thing I could do. Because the other side of it is 90% comes to me. So that was a no-brainer to do. And so I just throw that out to you as something that I learned, because now, if, I can sell the business, I don't have to worry about that because it's my business still. But she wasn't ready to do that. So part of the reason I tell you all this, and part of the reason why I come and talk with you, is because I think lawyers are, this is like my soapbox part, I think lawyers are really important to the United States and to the world. Like, we're the model that, sometimes I go, God, these lawyers in other places must really have it bad, because we're the model for lawyers in the world. California has, they said, more than 1/3 of the world's lawyers are in our state. And a lot of people are miserable. And we're too important to be miserable. And all it takes for us to do, because we're a smart group of people, is to learn more about business. And to start treating our practices like business. And to have the self-discipline, because a lot of us are very hardworking, and we're very, very disciplined. This is another discipline we have to learn. And it's not going to feel good initially, because it's going to be different. It's going to be uncomfortable. But I cannot be more of an evangelist to tell you that this is the way to go, because it will free you up, you will make more money, and your people will be more empowered. So I put this up here. Please do one thing different. I'll even give you some easy things. Drink more water. So I'll make some stuff that's not so difficult. Drink more water. I have people in my office. I gave last month, people worked really hard. We had a trial, a couple of summary judgments. I gave everybody in the firm a $200 gift certificate for them to do something for themselves. And they had to spend it, no drinking, you're not buying booze, okay? You had to do something health-oriented or personally. You can go have a facial, you can have a massage, you can go to a class, you can do something for yourself, but you had to spend it in that weekend. I said, don't come to me, because it was like Memorial Day weekend, don't come to me Tuesday, and no. You have to spend it this weekend. That $200, so it's like $1,500 I spent, was, first of all, the publicity I got. They told everybody, can you believe this, Janice? She's amazing. And then what also it did is, this one woman, Suzanne, she went to a chiropractor that she goes, I did something I wouldn't do otherwise. So now Suzanne, who's more senior, she has a chiropractor having her stand taller because she was doing like this. So now she's standing taller. And she goes, that started with that $200. Do you know what happens when people stand taller, how they feel better about themselves? She started jogging. She goes, I hate running. But she lost 25 pounds. So healthy people, so I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff. And I am a do-gooder, don't get me wrong. But I don't do it just to do good. I do it also to benefit the business. So do one thing that I'm telling you. I don't care what it is, but this is insanity. Do one thing. Now here's the other issue. And this is a tough one because, you know, we're really smart people and we like to blame other people and we're really good at it. Anybody who's been in a relationship with a lawyer knows we're really clever. Okay? If you say the answer to my problem is my people need to change, you are doomed. Because what you're doing is putting the power of your success in the hands of people who aren't in this room right now trying to learn this. You have to change. Period. That's like therapy 101. You have to change. Now, one of the things that I brought this here, and I think Rebecca heard Stacy speak, and she was inspired by Stacy. So I'm going to pass this out to you guys, and if you know anybody who wants to do this. So one of the things I did was I told you I was really anxious back in 2003 because I had 8 employees all by myself. So what I did was I began a business development system. So I said all these systems. I started first with a business development system. So it's from this book from this guy named Jeffrey Fox. And the name of the book is How to Be a Rainmaker. And it's kind of salesy. But there's something in that book that really appealed to me and was really beneficial for lawyers. It had a point system. And the point system was like this. It's not complicated, but it's really effective. 1 point is a contact. 2 points is a meeting with the decision maker. 3 points is scheduling a meeting with the decision maker. 3 points is a meeting with the decision maker. And a 4th point is a new matter. Okay? So I began to do this system. And so I did a spreadsheet. So then I decided I was going to name it. So I decided to name it something inspiring. So it's called Cloudburst, right? Making rain. And I went, I guess a burst, right? So I named it Cloudburst. And I've been doing this system since 2004. And then I started teaching people. And now I'm actually teaching people in big firms and teaching large groups of people. And I'm actually going to create a software platform for it because so many people are like, lawyers like to count. It's easy. As opposed to, is what I'm doing, is it working? I don't know. I met this person. I got their card. What do I do? I don't know. You know, this is easier because it's a system. So I'm going to pass, I think, well, I'll just tell you that at the back of the room, there's these little flyers. I'm doing 2 seminars, and I'm only doing seminars. I'm doing them in very small groups because I've already done a lot of this, and I've talked to really big groups, and I just think it's better if it's small groups. So it probably will, people have already signing up for it because they know that I'm doing it. So here's these cards back here. I'm doing 1 in Tennessee and 1 in San Diego at the end of the year. But so what I do is I teach the people in the class how to do this. And then what I've done is teach my lawyers how to do it. So I have a 3rd-year lawyer who's bringing in business because she does this every week. I have this last year there's 3 lawyers that came to the class and took it because I beta tested it on 9 lawyers. A couple of big firm lawyers, sole practitioner, somebody who wasn't a lawyer, a mediator, a coach, different people. And then everybody had to do this form, the Cloudburst sheet, and send it in every week, and then we have conversations about it. It is like, they are like rave about it. And I've taught it a lot at different places because it's a way to measure. So this is how it works. So basically, Jeffrey Fox, his book has some good tips, but it's not for lawyers. Okay, so I've modified it to make it work for lawyers because we can't cold call. Okay, we have these things called ethical rules. Okay, where other salespeople aren't governed by. So, a contact, and here's one thing too, let me also say this, and this is important from the perspective of communicating with your associates, but also communicating with clients. So, what I have here is, and this is the person who has the communication, you, wanting to tell your people, you're going to transform your practice a little bit. We're going to change some things. And what I need for you guys to do is we're going to find some ways to step up the business. Maybe you talk to your managing people, your people, and say, we're going to reconstruct how we're going to do our billing practices. And I have a flow chart on some billing practices as part of this to give you. So whatever it is you decide to do, you're going to have this conversation. You're the person responsible for the communication. Because sometimes I go, okay, but it's not. So, starting to do the cloud-burst system, I communicated to people, this is your choice. Some people want to do it, and some people don't. If you want to do it, you need to do it full out. But it's your choice, and I made everyone pay. Just because you were my firm, you still had to pay. Because what I also came to realize is if I give stuff away to people in my firm, sometimes they don't value it the same. So they had to pay their money and sit their butts in the seat and actually do it. So, a contact and email, I'm a big fan of personal cards because nobody does them anymore. It's an ancient art. And you know why people do emails? Because it's easier for the originator. It may not be effective for this person who gets 200 emails a day, but for you, it's easy because you can do it at midnight. So this is part of what I say to people is, we are lucky that we're in a business that face-to-face communication is still important. So we should take advantage of it. Face-to-face, like I have people, lawyers in my office who are like this close to me, next door, who will email me. I'm like, can you get up and come? Don't want to. It's easier. They delay the time to communicate. Okay, but I get 100 emails. It's not convenient for me. So one of the things that I've done with my lawyers is I require them to calendar time to speak to me about stuff. Because they used to just barge in my office, and so what happens is my time then is disrupted based on what their time schedule is. I make my lawyers schedule time to have discussions with me. And I say, well, talk to Belena. And then they say, well, it's really urgent. Well, it shouldn't be. Because if you do the rest of the system, you shouldn't have anything that's urgent. So so I basically how I think of this system is designed to get you to this. Face-to-face is the most effective way to get business. So a contact is an email, a card, a follow-up, something that's a contact. And then what you do is you get so many points per week. I start people off with some of them getting 3 points a week because it just starts a habit. Okay, so we start off with a little bit of points a week. Then we go to, and this is something that's difficult for younger lawyers. Okay, so I give them a break. It's not necessarily, because sometimes it's hard to get to a decision maker. So as you as a mediator, was it managing partners of firms? Okay, so that's your decision maker. Who's your decision maker? Individuals?
Yes, referral sources.
Referral sources, okay.
Yeah, startup company founders.
Okay, so think about, so here's the thing. Referrals, do you send your referral sources thank you notes?
No.
I'm just saying. Okay? So startup, there's tech groups, connect, organizations for you to go to. Okay? Now, let me just tell you. Nothing makes you feel more successful than success. And lawyers, we don't like doing things that we don't know how to do. But the only way you can do something that you don't know how to do is to do it. So I have people who are like, oh, I hate that. Business development, oh, it's so horrible. Then they get a client. Yeah, they're in the hallway. I'm like, oh, little Miss Batchful is just all of a sudden got a little huevos going on, okay? Because there's nothing like success. So I started doing this, so I have 3 lawyers doing it. A 10th year, Stacy, who's my junior partner. Stacy's business has gone from $100,000 to $500,000 in 4 years. And once you get $500,000, $750,000, I mean, you know, because she starts bringing in big clients. And then I also, we don't, like, they're not my, they're the firm's clients. So she deals with my clients just, I mean, I trust people because I'm like, I can't not trust you. If you're going to take a client, then God, go with the wind. God bless you. Because I can't be concerned, because that's the only way that I can have grow is to have people have access to the clients. And so if there is a trust issue, you need to get the right people in place. If you think people are going to steal your business, you might not have the right lawyers there. So what I do on this one with decision makers is I have, for younger lawyers, they don't have to meet with decision makers. With younger lawyers, they can just get a meeting with someone in the company. And then they say to me, how do I find out if they're decision makers? And I say, you say something like this. Are you the decision maker? Okay? And then they, lo and behold, Tara has brought in now a huge company. But here's what Tara started thinking about. She started thinking that, wow, maybe I can't bring this client in because I'm a 3rd-year lawyer. I'm going to bring Suzanne, the senior lawyer, with me to the lunch. And Suzanne's like, okay, I don't care. I'll go with you. Then Suzanne happened to do the work that the client, she goes, oh yeah, I know that, and I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. So am I, the guy said. So that's what's happening in the firm. And the Stacy's success, now Stacy's speaking. Rebecca heard Stacy. Why don't you tell a little bit about what Stacy talked about?
We were at the California Women Lawyers Conference, and Stacy was one of the panelists on rainmaking, and she was saying how, what you said, she's got young children, but she had decided she needed to start bringing business, and she started with $0 of bringing business and started working with Janice. And within a year, I think she set a goal of like $120,000 for that year, and she met it in a year's time. And I'm like, okay, I got to talk to this guy.
Well, no, let me tell you what happened. Stacy initially said, I want a client. And she brought in some doozies. Okay, some people like, does everybody you bring in have to have committed a crime? I mean, is that kind of like one of your ideal client goals? So then she changed it. My goal is X, Y, and Z. So she created an ideal client design for what she wanted. And so that's one of the things that you end up talking about, you know, because now Adriana is more of a senior lawyer. And Adriana she fashions herself as an expert in employment law. She's a very technical lawyer. But business development was beneath her. She really, you know, I'm the one that you come to when you really want the information. I don't need to do that. Until she's the one that's like, hey. Now she's doing it. And she goes, it's amazing. It's easy. Because it's a pattern and it's a target. So we started them off with 3 points. Then we go to 5 points. Then we go to 8 points. The goal in a year per fox is 20 points. Just because I'm a crazy kind of gal, I get 30 points. So I don't worry about business anymore. Never worry about business anymore. All I do is make sure I get my points. So that's what I'm teaching in San Diego. And I'm doing one in Tennessee for 20, I'm only doing it like 20, max is 25 people. So if you're so I have the materials back there, and if you're interested, let me know. Because it's basically, we talk about mindset, and then we talk about this product, this tool. And it's been really exciting to see people start transitioning their practice and getting business. I have one guy from Cooley, I have one guy from Fulbright, so they have different, people have different, different types of practice. One guy's a patent lawyer, so he has to get big companies. And so that's one of the things that we talk about. So the other piece of this, as far as the Cloudburst system for business development, is it's like a sheet like this. And this is what, I got a software engineer helping me design it. But in the meantime, right now, I'm just doing it on an Excel spreadsheet. And I can send these to you guys if you're interested. But I'd prefer, if you're interested, I can clearly just use it. But I'd prefer for you to think about taking the class just because I think it helps a lot. But anyway, so you put the date, you put the client contact, the client, the name of the person, the company, the point, and then you put down follow-up. Now this is the key. This is the key. So it's not only creating the habit, it's doing follow-up. And you know what lawyers are horrible about? Follow-up. We're horrible. So why I get so much business is because I'm all about the follow-up. All about the follow-up. I send people cards. I send unusual, I don't know, did you get my 4th of July card? Okay. One of my lawyers has the most beautiful baby on the planet. I mean, just a beautiful baby. And his name, I'm getting out of my PowerPoint, and I'm going to go to, can I go to Google?
Yep.
And he's just a beautiful baby. And there's a picture of this baby's name is Jude. And Jude, they took him to vote, and Jude has I vote stickers on his face. So Jude, I mean, he's just so gorgeous. And while he's sitting with the I vote stickers, he's drooling. It's like a big, block. It's like, but it's, the mom's like, see my baby's drool, so pretty, his drool, so cute. So Jude is our poster boy, and it says, the card says, Brown Law, this is a 4th of July card. So I don't send Christmas cards. I don't send cards that are regular. I send cards for different holidays. So the card says, Brown Law Group drools for this country. And then it says, if you want to see other Brown Law Group patriotic children, and yeah, this is me and Stacy. This is on our website. This is what we created. Should I just let it load, or should I get out of it?
I want to just try it. You can get, but let me tell you, clients were like, oh, it's so cute, it's so gorgeous. Because it communicates what we're about. We're about warmth, we're about, being patriotic. It's a really, and so that's some of the marketing things that we do. But we sent that out to a bunch of our clients, and it drove them to look at the website and look at that little video. And then they sent us an email and said, oh my God, that's so cute. One of them said, you know what, Janice, send me your materials. I've been thinking about hiring you. I'm like, see, stuff works. So follow-up is what it's about. And follow-up, there's 3 components for follow-up. Brand, trust, and need. My belief is
to a decision maker, and they trust me, and they know what I do, and they have a need, they're going to hire me. The chances are high, because decision makers are hard people to get in front of. They have all those people in front of them to stop you from getting in front of them. So this is what I teach this kind of stuff about your brand, what people think about you, how to get your brand out there. My brand is warmth, family, unique innovation, personal connection, personal touch, care enough about the profession to do this kind of stuff, avant-garde, innovative, that's the brand. And that we think outside the box, literally. We're not your father's law firm. That's our thing. That's how I can come dressed like this, partly because my flight was canceled and I didn't have time to change. And then trust, because authenticity breeds trust. If people think you're authentic, if they believe you are who you are, they are more apt to trust you. And that's one of the reasons that I really promote this a lot to women and promote this to younger lawyers, because a lot of younger lawyers don't feel that they can be authentic in their workplace. And if you're not authentic, you're not your best, because you're already running with all that fear inside of you. So this is the kind of stuff that we teach in the seminar. So anyway, with that, I hope that I'm here to answer some questions, but I really hope that I've inspired you to think about this a little differently. And also, I gave you both of my cards so you can ask questions. So anyway, I'm open to questions.
Is there anything on the column in the spreadsheet, or is it just filling it down?
Oh, like this? It's like this. Okay, and then you fill it in, and then, oh, this is the date. Okay, I use the date too. So I put the follow-up and I put the date. So what happens is right now, every week I give this to Valena MacGyver Jr. And Valena puts this into my calendar. So my calendar has a part on it that says Cloudburst. So when I go into Cloudburst, it drops down my follow-up. And then I get more points by just doing the follow-up. And it starts becoming self-perpetuating. So if I talk to a client, I put it 3 months down the road to follow up with that client. And so it starts becoming self-perpetuating. Now here's the thing that I can tell you for people that for estate planning people. What you want to do with estate planning people, you want to get referrals. And you also want to do work for them their entire life. You don't want to do just work for them once and they do it and they go away. You want to do an extended time. So guys like this, excuse me, what's your name?
Eric.
This is your fabulous referral source. He should have lots of drinks. You can practice on him and get a point. And then for some of you who do civil litigation, find out who does their work at their company. You say, who's the decision maker for legal services at your company? And he'll say, I don't know. Or I'll find out. Okay? And so that's part of what this game is about. And then the follow-up and the date is really good. And sometimes what happens is it starts building up. So what I do is I print it out and I'll keep it on a stack. And like I also, whenever I go someplace, I use a card scanner. So I buy it, I recommend it, it's $99 or whatever, probably less now. And it scans it and puts it into my Outlook. And then my secretary addresses a card for me. So if I need to get some points, like I don't feel like, I can just write personal cards to people because I have a stack of cards to fill out. I go, like I'm traveling, I'll bring a bunch of cards. Sometimes I forget the people. And I'm like, oh, well, I should have wrote earlier. But then I also try, when I write the cards, I try to give a damn. I try not to write a card like, hi, I'm writing this card because I can get a point for my business development. I write a card because there was a guy named Jesse Knight who's the CEO of SDG&E down in San Diego. And Jesse, I get together with Jesse from time to time, and Jesse will say to me, I had a party for Jesse when he became CEO. And the next day, if not the next day, the day after, I got a card from Jesse that he likes Asian art. It was on this beautiful Asian art card, and it had my name. He wrote like something amazing to me, and wrote the name of every lawyer in my office and staff person that he had met and made a little comment to each of them. And I was like, if that's good enough for the CEO, one of the biggest employers in San Diego, that's good enough for me. And that explained why he is the CEO of SDG&E. Because people at that level really understand how to do relationships well. And so when I saw him do that, I'm like, I'm going to adopt that. Now, I don't have it on the pretty paper. I have a brown log group card, but I write people cards. One time I sent this guy a card. We were supposed to do a lunch together. And he, right when they served us our food, they go, okay, it's time for you guys to get on stage. And we looked at each other and we're like, okay, we're not eating. So we got up on stage. So my card to him was, it was great not having lunch with you. He picked up the phone and called me. That was hilarious. I love that. I don't have any business in California, but it still was hilarious. And that's what happens. And that's what's happened. And here's the thing. You know, it's all it is taking what your natural instincts are and putting them into a system. Because really, most lawyers, at least in my view, are pretty decent people. Sometimes there's some, you know, like, there's the asshole exception to this, but we're not, that, they just are who they are, and they just do their, but that's not what we are. That's not what we're thinking about. Because you're like, well, that guy's a jerk, everybody hates him, but he's got so much money. Well, good for him.
Really quickly, you mentioned that from your card, your client called you. Now, say it is a brand new client, and you haven't sent them an email with your telephone number on it. With a card, do you?
I put my business card in it. I sent my business card with the card.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have a question. So I want to start taking Fridays off. Is there any back-end support or
Yes.
things I need
Yes.
to do
Okay.
in order
Yes.
for that to effectively happen?
Yes, okay, so I got some other things on my list. I forgot to show you this. Okay, so here's one thing I recommend. This is a work in progress, okay? So it's a policy on a work in progress report. So this is for people that you're managing. If you have your own gig, people that have their own gigs probably don't do this. But you need to think, are you going to always have your own gig, or are you going to have somebody else work for you? So, you know, like you could just use this for yourself. But this is the form. Let me show you the other side, okay? So it's a work in progress form. I have all my lawyers fill these out except for Stacy. All the lawyers fill this out and deliver it to, because Stacy manages the lawyers. I don't do that anymore. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Okay? So that 10% I give her is worth every penny. So here's what we do. So this is a work report for this particular lawyer and the week of. They put their cases, the names of the cases, they put who's responsible, okay, the name of the lawyer, and then they put what to do in the short term. But this is one thing that keeps us sane. Internal dates. Nothing happens, no lawyer in my office, I don't even accept clients that say, unless it's a client that's like a long-term client, that something happened. If a client calls me and goes, I have a TRO that's due Monday, I go, okay, call so-and-so. Because we're not doing that. What we do is we're crazy organized. So our internal due dates. So if a summary judgment, we know we got 30 days for a summary judgment, you hear lawyers like, 30 days. I'm not going to do anything until the week before. Oh, hell to the no. You're going to do all of the forms now. You're going to pull the evidence now. You're going to draft the brief 2 weeks before it's due so that you can get it to the client. Because clients hate getting stuff with not enough turnaround. So that's what we do. And the internal due dates are real. So every week after Stacy meets with the lawyer, they highlight the internal due date, and that goes into the calendar as a due date. Now, it says internal, but it's a due date. You have to respond to the internal due dates. Lawyers who don't get written up. Because I realize if I complain out of my mouth 3 times about somebody doing something, that means I haven't communicated effectively. And sometimes it means I need to put it in writing. And I hate it. Because that makes me what? The man. I don't like it. But I realize some people, until you put it in writing, they do not, it's like it's, they don't get it. So this is what I recommend that you start doing. You're a great business developer. I also think it would be beneficial for you to start doing the Cloudburst thing because you have amazing contacts. But I think if you do those two things, because it'll make you feel not anxious. But this work in progress, and then I have here's the policy that goes along with it, okay? The other thing that I have here is, okay, so calendaring is an art form. In our office, if it's not on the calendar, it does not exist. It has to be scheduled in Outlook. So this is part of, so when we get something coming from the court, it's calendared and it says when. Within 48 hours receipt of the dates. Because that used to, just keeping the dates in your head would drive you crazy. You go crazy. Okay, you're laughing because you're retired now. You're like, I remember that. I remember that. I don't do that anymore. I'm out of this business. But that's crazy making if you have to carry, because all of a sudden, remember that wake up, something's due? Oh my God, it used to drive me crazy. So many of these things are mechanisms that I've implemented to reduce stress. I'm a meditator. I like yoga. I like drinking wheatgrass. I do anything, I like acupuncture. You name it. I love it. I'm in California. I'm taking it all in. Stress is deadly. So this makes me feel more at peace. Okay, then I got for you, managing partner, you, those of you, billing. This is the billing process, okay? So it says, timekeepers must enter daily in time tracker. Submitted by 10 a.m., okay? On the last day of the month, all time must be entered and submitted by close of business. Narrative should be complete sentence. Bill in increments of 10th of an hour, no abbreviations, no block billing. I had a case where we had block billing, and I learned in mediation, block billing is against the law in California. So, block billing is not pursuant to the Code of Professional Ethics. I was like, God, good to know here. Don't tell the other side, So, that's our rules. And we have a flow chart. I didn't attach it here because it's kind of a lot of information, but we have a flow chart. The fifth, pre-bills, da-da-da-da-da. And now what I started doing is I started taking on and looking at all the bills initially, and then I give the ones to Stacy to look at. It's like I'm better at it than she is. So I can do it a lot faster and make calls a lot faster than she does. She worries about it a lot more. And I'm like, let me just take this. And then I give her the ones that she needs to look at. But our bills get out. So this policy here is to make sure the lawyers understand. So here's the thing. These are 3 things for you to help you to take your Fridays. Then I'll come up and we'll shop and drink. Okay, any other questions? Did I make you feel inspired?
When you are hiring new people, do you use any tools to help you gauge whether or not these people are implementers, facilitators, or
I'm a DISC assessor. I'm a trainer. I have DISC. I don't use DISC. What I do now, I used to hire people because I like them, and I stopped doing that because it's really hard to fire someone you like. It's like, I like you a lot, but you gotta go. So what I do is I do a lot more references. I do a lot of references. Staff, I almost hire all of them through temporary services.